Today, I'm excited to welcome to the podcast Andy Heath of newly renamed Kick Technology. Thanks for joining, Andy.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show, Scott.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the background of Kick Technology. And we'll dive into that rename as well. But I know your flagship product right now is Sizzle Kick on the AppExchange. Maybe you could share with listeners and viewers, what your ICP is, what Sizzle Kick does, who it helps, and what main problem you're solving.
Sure. I'll start with the problem. I think it's always a good place to start. Yeah, really, I've been in B2B sales for 25 years. I've got all the scars and the t-shirts and the war wounds from trying to grow a sales team. And one of the key challenges I always faced was relying heavily on one or two top performers to deliver the number, which was always a pretty uncomfortable position to be in case one of them left, got sick, or just had had enough of me. So, what I really wanted to do was figure out how do we get everybody up to or closer to or in moving the direction of those top performers at scale, because the challenge is always it falls back to the head of sales or sales management to do that. But that coaching piece is not very scalable. It's very time consuming. And it's the one thing that a lot of the time gets put on the back burner and doesn't happen. And it's really the only thing that's going to shift the dial, because you can make people do more calls, but if they're rubbish calls, you're just creating more rubbish. So it's about the quality, the quantity, and the direction of the effort. So that's the problem that SizzleKick fixes, by looking at all the key metrics, call transcripts, etc., sales playbooks, and looking at what are the top performers doing, what's everybody else doing, and then sets different sorts of challenges to guide everybody towards that top performer sort of blueprint, if you like.
Mhm.
And then it allows the sales manager or head of sales to very quickly dive into that coaching thread and see where they can add value. So when they do have that bit of time, they can just nip in there and add value and sprinkle some of their experience onto the conversation. So it's designed to make sure that that stuff happens day in, day out, not just on the odd occasion when the head of sales has time.
Mhm.
That's kind of a long-winded answer to what the problem is. It's a big one, and I don't think anyone's cracked it yet. Um, Hopefully we have. And then the ICP is, well, obviously somebody using Salesforce, probably with 5 to 100 people on their sales team. It can be a mix of SDRs and account execs selling B2B primarily. This is focused on quite high velocity sales teams with 10 to maybe 100K average order value and a reasonable tempo of data, rather than somebody selling 100 million enterprise deal. It's not really kitted out for that cadence.
Mhm.
UK, US, and on Salesforce, really. I think is that all your questions? I think I did.
Yes, yes. Well, and I'm curious too, also how you double down on the Salesforce platform. So, were you a longtime user of Salesforce, and that's why you decided to build on that
Yeah.
platform? I assume.
Yeah, good question. So yes, I used Salesforce for a long time, at WeThrive actually. And, one of my frustrations was always when I did have time to coach someone is where do I start? Where's the jump off point? Who do I focus on? And where in the multiple stages of the sales process would my time be best spent to give the best outturn for that time? And Salesforce is a yeah, really robust platform, great reporting, etc. But when you want to ask a sort of left of field question, it's really hard to piece those bits of data together to get the story. And I just think that's where AI actually starts to really add some value, because it can look across all these different sets of information and distill really compelling insights that human brain could do if they could hold all that data in their brains, which we can't. So yeah, that was why Salesforce, because I've worked with it and I'd faced the challenge myself. And I always think it's much easier to front up a company fixing a problem that you felt and
Mhm.
dealt with yourself, rather than, something you haven't had to deal with. That's why I picked Salesforce. They're the biggest, 150,000 customers. And obviously they've got a really mature AppExchange and partnership program, which is also quite compelling as a smaller ISV, being able to get in front of that number of customers on their AppExchange is a really compelling part of the Salesforce offering.
Hmm.
So those are the reasons we chose Salesforce.
That's great. Well, okay. So you mentioned a few things that I want to dive deeper on. Obviously, AI and how that's used to power SizzleKick. But what I think is really interesting, you mentioned briefly WeThrive. So, uh, years from now, folks might be wondering what the WeThrive is, but you just recently renamed from WeThrive to Kick Technology. And I think a lot of people are going to look at SizzleKick and the success y'all have had, and not realize that it's kind of an overnight success that was over a decade in the making, right?
In liking,
So
yeah,
we we
yeah,
we thrive. I know is founded in 2012, I believe.
yes.
And so I'd love to hear more about the journey from WeThrive, and how it started as a sales engagement platform, I believe. And now the transition to today of Kick technology with Sizzle Kick, because I love this. I love the energy of you and your team reinventing yourselves. I believe Sizzle Kick is only like 18 months old at this point as we're recording,
Well,
if that.
it was born on a flip chart 18 months ago. So when it was actually born, was launched on the AppExchange was only probably 3 months ago. So it's very new. Um,
Great.
but yeah, that it's I think it's quite an interesting story, and probably one that a lot of other software founders who started sort of pre OpenAI and ChatGPT will probably be sort of musing. So the WeThrive platform was created. I can't even remember, it was written in Python and Django or something like that. I'm not very technical, as you could probably guess. But really, that was all about employee engagement initially. So running staff surveys and creating action plans and recommendations to help managers and HR directors know what can we do to help improve how people feel about work so they're happier and more productive. And we did that for a good long time, worked with some really good customers. And then those customers started saying, how about performance management? Yeah, we'd love it.
Mm,
Tell me about that, because performance management's broken. Can you do something? So that we then added performance management to the platform, and that was really successful as well. And we were one of the first platforms to kind of interoperate those two things together, because they are really two sides of the same coin. In that, if people are happy and engaged, performance is going to be easier, and if they're disengaged, then performance is going to be harder. So we did that for a long time, and then as soon as ChatGPT popped up, all of our customers were like, "What are you doing about AI?" And it's like, I don't really understand it myself, to be honest. It's quite useful for writing, silly poems and stuff like that.
mhm,
Like, right, okay, let's have a proper look at this stuff. And really, we came to a fork in the roads where, a lot of our competitors in that space were sprinkling AI onto their platforms in little sort of um, pockets where they thought it was helpful. And so we were looking at it thinking, well, we could do that. But the chances are, with the rate of change in this space, that if we do that, people are just going to get, some upstart is going to come with a completely new, fully AI enabled platform. It's going to come roaring past us and eat all of our breakfast. So we took the fairly plucky decision to build something from scratch. Um,
mm,
and we actually, rather than rebuilding the WeThrive platform, we wanted to try something different. And SizzleKick was created on a flipboard at a strategy day 18 months ago. And we decided, let's try and fix a really punchy problem that's got a high ROI, which is not selling enough stuff because not all of my reps are performing. Let's put ourselves in an ecosystem where we've got easier access to, um, to the clients, like the Salesforce AppExchange. And then also going through the security review and that rigor is really good, because it kind of puts us on a level playing field with much bigger people, because our platform's been vetted by Salesforce and it's up to scratch, which means
mhm,
that we compete on a level playing field with people who are much bigger than us. So I think that's also really credible. So for those reasons, we went with the SizzleKick project. And the name, if you're interested, in the sales world, there's this old adage of sell the sizzle, not the sausage. So
mm,
talking about features talk about benefits, i.e. the sizzle, and that's where the sizzle part comes from. And the kick is obviously, let's just get this moving. So that's the origin of the Sizzle Kick. Now, it's also very hard to find a top level domain that nobody else has got, but I love it now. Very happy with the name. And so Sizzle Kick's up and running. We've got some early customers using it, giving us feedback, but we're literally, we're on the start grid with the engines revving, and starting to do some outbound marketing, speaking to people like you, just getting some groundswell, doing some events, doing some outreach. So that's kind of where we are with Sizzle Kick. Shall I move on to the company name change and the other platform?
Sure. Well, I do want to get to that. I wanted to ask a little bit. I know you mentioned you're doing outbound. I also want to talk maybe about some inbound, right? Because one of the benefits of becoming an ISV partner with Salesforce is creating an AppExchange listing, which is how you and I came to meet through Peter Ganza, otherwise known as the AppExchange Whisperer. Shout out to Peter. Thanks for the introduction today. But I'm curious, like, how y'all are building out your AppExchange strategy currently.
Well, we've been working with Peter on that. I mean, I took my best first guess, read all the reviews, did all the onboarding courses and everything, and put together what I thought was a pretty compelling AppExchange listing, and sat there and got no traffic. And then, actually the community was really helpful. I posted into the partner community and just said, hey, anybody throw me a bone here and give me some ideas, because this is a completely new world to me. And then Peter chipped in and actually gave me, some of his time for free and helped me make some tweaks, and that got some movement. And then we've been working with him for the last month or so, and just really optimizing that listing from a keyword perspective, and then make sure we've got a good demo on there, some good screenshots, good explanation, make sure we're in the right categories. And then we're shortly launching test drives so that people can, just have a quick play with and chat with the AI agent with some demo data. And hopefully once we've got those final pieces in place, we'll start to see that traffic increase and the lead flow come on. But I think my word of caution to any budding ISVs is, don't kind of follow the mantra of we'll build it and they will come. Even if you're on the Salesforce AppExchange, is a big AppExchange.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
think
stuff.
the last person that worked for was Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams. But beyond that, you got to have a little bit more strategy than that.
Yeah, exactly. And, I guess we did fall a little bit into that trap of we'll be all right. And we will. But it's not without effort. I think it's quite a high bar to getting an app live on Salesforce AppExchange. I think that's a good thing, because it keeps the quality good, which is obviously Salesforce's goal. So I think that keeps a lot of people off the AppExchange who maybe haven't got the appetite to see it through. So I think it's a measure of quality. You're playing at the right table, but it's not a given that you're just going to get run off your feet with leads from the AppExchange. I think you've got to work the angles on top of that, but it's a pretty good start point.
Yeah, agreed. Well, okay. So moving beyond the AppExchange, what you talked about some of the outbound you're doing. What are some channels that you would say are working right now for drumming up interest in Sizzle?
Well, still early days, but cold email outreach seems to be about the only digital strategy that works for a small player, because you can do it at scale. So we're doing some of that. We've had some good inquiries from that, and a couple of the people that are piloting the product now are from that outreach. So, it's just getting airtime with people, which I think is just getting increasingly difficult. LinkedIn's jammed full of stuff. Inboxes are jammed. So it's pretty hard to stand out. So we are.
That's what I was going to ask. Actually, I'm sorry. So cold outreach in terms of email or like LinkedIn messages, because I know a lot of folks doing
both.
Okay.
We're pretty tightly defined ICP, so not just not kind of a spray and pray type approach, kind of targeted. But I don't think there are many heads of sales who wouldn't want to sell more and worry less. So it's a pretty compelling message. But these people are busy. So we're going to substitute that with, we're planning to be at the London's Calling event in London in June. and all being well, will be at Dreamforce later in the year as well. So I think, despite the fact that we're all running towards this AI nirvana, or what's the other one when it's not the nirvana? Apocalypse. I think pressing the flesh and being at events and talking to people is still key. And fundamentally, I still think that sales, B2B sales, will rely on people for a good while yet, because of
Sure.
just, the intricacies of understanding people's real drivers and needs. I can't see AI getting there for a while. So I just want to help people be more successful in their roles, and then the companies that they work for, hit their profit numbers and do whatever it is they're trying to achieve. So that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I mean, as AI continues to gain a foothold more and more in general marketing and outreach, I think that in-person events are going to be more and more important,
Yeah.
because people crave, right, the human interaction. While in the digital world, more and more we're just interacting with bots, or our
Yeah.
bots are interacting with other bots.
Yeah, exactly. My AI has written an AI crafted scraped email using whatever platform, and it goes to your inbox, and your AI bot goes, "Ha, I've got you. You're,
Yeah,
you're AI, aren't you?" And they just have a little argument, and then you go in the spam folder. So,
yeah,
really increasingly difficult, I think,
hmm
to not fall into that trap. And I think the only thing you can do is be authentic. Uh, so, we do our cold outreach. It has a little bit of personalization in it, but we don't use intent. I think some of that intent and signal stuff in some of these platforms is questionable. So just
hmm
get a great shot, of, you know, what are you worrying about from a sales perspective? This is how we think we can help. I've had this problem for 25 years. I'm convinced this is going to help you fix it. Let's have a conversation, or just jump on and give it a go. It's free to try. So it's a
hmm
pretty uh, simple ask and simple offer. And I hope that will stand out in the AI and digital world, that actually we're just helping to do the coaching at scale consistently, so that heads of sales can worry about things they need to worry about and know that that's being taken care of. And I'm a big believer in Pareto, 80-20. What's the thing that's going to give you the biggest uplift with the least effort? Let's
right.
do that and nail that square on.
I love sales, and apps like yours that focus on sales, because it just feels like you're going with that painkiller versus a vitamin strategy. Like you said, I think you said it even earlier yourself, like, who doesn't want more revenue? So you're essentially just, what are you selling? The outcome you're selling is more revenue. So who's
Yeah.
not going to want that, right? And so I would hope that is a little bit easier for busting through these AI spam filters of like, do you want more revenue? Yeah, that's actually, I bet my human probably does want more revenue. I better let this
Yeah,
email go through.
exactly. Yeah. I'm in trouble if I put this one in the spam folder.
hmm
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I do want to move on to the renaming just a moment, but before we get off the marketing, I also wanted to point out, you recently were highlighted and featured in Salesforce Ben, which is obviously a very popular digital outlet, where a lot of admins, consultants, and developers and architects in the ecosystem kind of get their Salesforce news from. I'm curious if you could expand a little bit on that experience, and how the kind of ROI you've seen from going through Salesforce Ben.
Yeah, I think that was, we did a piece, a sponsored content piece around, how to work with AI to be successful. And so it was more of it was a sort of thought leadership guidance piece rather than a lead gen thing. It was just kind of
Oh, I
a bit
see.
like establishing ourselves as knowing what we're talking about. So it was really just giving sort of a few lessons learned from the experience of developing the app. So making sure that we shared that, so that other people who might be creating their own things can maybe not fall into some of the bear pits that we fell into, of which there were many. The first thing we did was just plug the AI into the data and hoped it would, magically do its thing. And of course, it doesn't do that. You've got to be really clear about what you want it to do, what outcomes you're looking for, what data quality it's looking at, what date range it's looking at, what guardrails, So there's an absolute amount of work. I met one guy who said, well, what's your difference between, SizzleKick and ChatGPT? I said, well, good luck pasting all of your Salesforce data in there and asking it to tell you what to do better. It's incredibly complicated. Because Salesforce is big and complicated.
Mm-hmm.
In pulling in, so we connect with SalesLoft, for example, so we can pull in SalesLoft call transcripts, and customers can also upload all their sales playbooks, their objection sheets, call transcript scripts, competitor sheets, product feature matrices, all of that stuff, and put it all into the model, into the language model, and then it basically knows everything about your proposition. It scrapes your corporate website, looks at your competitors' websites. So, it's really pulling all that key content together and then framing it in sales terminology, and then feeding that back to each rep on your team based on what they specifically need to help them move deals along or book more discovery calls or whatever. So, yeah, that's why the thing with Salesforce. Ben, we also got him to do an overview video for SizzleKick as well, which has been really well received. So yeah, I'm sure we'll do more with them. I went to one of their FinServe events in London a couple of months ago, which is also really good. So yeah, they've been really helpful, and yeah, good resource for everybody, I think.
Yes, agreed. Cool. Very cool. All right, so let's move on to the renaming
Sure.
because you touched on that. So uh, originally WeThrive since 2012. So what drove the new name of Kick Technology?
Well, it was kind of we had a great name in the market, great reputation. Always looked after our customers, had really high retention rates, etc. But 10, 12 years, we just felt like the pivot to an AI first platform deserved more of a fundamental change in terms of direct. I mean, it's such a completely different, it's chalk and cheese. You can't compare the two platforms. And following on from the success of the SizzleKick development, we actually also decided to invest in rewriting or creating a new platform to replace WeThrive ultimately, which is called Kick. So we wanted Kick Technology Limited to be the kind of limited company name that owned those two sub brands. So both the Kick products are, Kick is coming out early in the summer, but basically that is it's phenomenal. We've listened to all the feedback from our customers, and it's again an AI powered strategic talent management suite, which basically goes way further than WeThrive ever did, to connect the strategy with the people and their performance all the way through every moment of their life cycle, through from onboarding to probation, back to work, career development, and everyone gets an AI coach within the platform that's connected to all of this information, so that people are enabled. And that's really our mission, is to help people do better work more effectively. And, I know we all use ChatGPT for bits and bobs. Some people use it fully, but when it's got the context of your organization and you and your metrics and what you're trying to achieve in the context of the organization within which you're working, that's a different kettle of fish, because then the guidance can align you to those strategic objectives, whether that's hitting your revenue numbers or delivering a strategic objective in Kick. And I think that's really exciting,
Mm-hmm.
a really exciting proposition for people. But what we did do in the other product actually is just make sure that people can switch off the AI component for different elements of the product, because there are some clients that we work with who don't want AI to make certain recommendations or comments on certain sorts of information. And I think that's really important when you map out these things, is to not just go, woohoo, AI could do that, because actually there's a lot of things you probably don't want it to do. I wouldn't want AI to make a decision about my career prospects or progression in an organization. I'd want it to surface that information to a human to review,
Mm-hmm.
discuss with me and then decide what to do. But I wouldn't want to be automatically put into a box because AI said so, because we know it can get it really spectacularly wrong sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And
that's the reason for the change to Kick Technologies. And by the time this podcast is live, rollkick.com will be available, so people can have a look at that if they want to.
that's very cool. And so to clarify, the end goal is to shift 100% of WeThrive customers off of your legacy platform and onto Rollkick. Is that correct, or is there going to be some that remain?
I think there may be some that remain. I mean, we've got customers who are very happy on WeThrive. We're not going to strong arm people, but Rollkick is just an infinite. I mean, you can't even. I don't know. It's like looking at like a really rubbish old car, and then next to it you got a sort of gleaming Ford Mustang. Like, it's amazing and so
Hmm.
much more powerful and so much easier to use and less admin to set up. It's interconnected with Slack, Teams, Google. It covers all the bases. So I would think that if we hadn't have done this, people would have moved off WeThrive at some point in the future to go to something better. So we just wanted to make sure that we were in a position to offer them something better if they wanted to do that.
Great. If someone's going to disrupt you, it might as well
You,
be you.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I feel like we have disrupted ourselves, but believe me, I think this all came from I was looking at lots of different podcasts, as Diary of a CEO and reading around AI and all the people are saying it's going to be amazing, and all the people saying it's going to be dystopian and whatever. But what I took away from all of that thinking was that this is not going to be a gradual thing like the internet was or the steam engine was or whatever. This thing's going to, probably go whoop, and then probably have a little plateau. I think we've had a little bit of that with all this AI bubble stuff. And then people will actually start to find really useful, tangible use cases for AI that really genuinely create value. And then we'll get another little whoop, rather than people just sort of, like I said, sprinkling it all over everything and hoping it's going to make things better. Because I don't think that works. I've had lots of experiences of it where it's like, that's really not working.
Yeah.
you know, what? So I think it's a tightly defined use case with some really good data, some really good guardrails, some really good parameters with a specific objective and outcome you want to see a shift in. And then you can say, yeah, AI did that. And this was the outcome of it. Therefore, there is a business case for that. And that is useful genuinely, rather
Hmm.
than sort of a common sense thing that's probably going to be helpful and it may or may not. So that's kind of
Hmm.
where I'm a bit old school for all this AI stuff, but I want it to
Hmm.
do a specific thing and deliver a specific outcome, and then I'll be happy.
I think it's smart too that you said you have essentially levers you can pull to turn AI off if need be, because and it's not just about being wrong necessarily. In some cases, I'm sure you have customers that are in regulated industries and feel they can't yet really leverage some of this power until they get approval either from customers or new laws on the books, that kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, we work with quite a few financial services organizations and law firms, and they're very, very cautious about the application of AI to their businesses. And they don't want to just let in a system with it sort of unmetered where they don't know where it's going to go or what it's going to do. So I think we've got to, as developers, ISVs, I think we've got to try and help people along this journey and kind of keep them safe along the way, and keep it controlled so we don't let the genie out of the bottle. And that's why we did the Salesforce Ben article, because genuinely thought that was quite a helpful piece of content to help other people sort of swerve some of the bumps in the road that we drove over and you know rattled us a bit. So yeah, I think it can do a lot, but I think it's better to keep it quite tightly on quite tight reins, and
Mhm.
we'll find.
Yes, smart. Well, okay, I want to rewind the clock a little bit here.
Oh,
Again, going back to your original founding in 2012. So since that time, are you is Kick technology, WeThrive fully bootstrapped? Have you taken funding over that time, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never quite sure of the definition of these things, but funded by the founders and one external investor. So my Richard, who I work with, he and I exited a business together in 2009. So we got some miles on the clock together, and I founded WeThrive with a chap called Piers. Yeah, long story, and there is one other investor in the business, but no, we haven't gone out to any. Any external funding. I don't. I'm a bit old school. I like this part. Uh, proving the point and getting those first customers. And yeah, we'll see if we need it. See if we need it. But
and
for now,
and
no.
and how big is the team today?
There are 10 of us. So yeah, pretty small and beautiful. But when people see you know, that we've built 2 brand new fully AI enabled products and have 150 customers on WeThrive and do all the stuff we do. They're like, what? How do you do that? So I'm very fortunate to have an absolutely top notch team. And we partner with people like Peter Ganza, who's helping us with the AppExchange stuff. And we partner with a tech company called Goodspeed, who've been doing the dev work for us. So yeah, we work with really amazing people who know all the stuff we don't know. But internally, we've got phenomenal people that do the work as well. So yeah, very lucky to have them around me.
It can be it's refreshing to chat with founders that have decided not to go the VC route, because not that there's there's a right path for everyone, but I think it can make you a little bit, you want to stay a little leaner. You're very careful about your hiring. You don't explode headcount overnight, and you make sure that when you do hire, you are hiring all stars. And it sounds like you've got that on your team, and it also makes you smart about you know focusing on the things that are actually core to your business, and outsourcing the rest to uh, agencies and consultants and the like, which it sounds like you've done. um, and I think it's just, it can help kind of guide you when it makes you that much more efficient when you are really fully invested in yourself. So I think
Yeah,
that's very cool.
I think if somebody gives you 10 million quid to spend, you're going to end up spending more time worrying about how to spend the 10 million quid than growing your business. So I think for me, it's you got to get your product sorted out, get some good success stories behind you, get the proof of concept for your go-to-market and your growth engine going, and then you can go and get some money to make the engine go faster.
Hmm.
Kind of how I think that's how I like to roll. And then you can speed up. Whereas if you just throw money at a product that's not quite there, or a marketing strategy that's not quite there, that doesn't fix the problem. Fast and rubbish is still rubbish, as I keep saying.
Yeah.
Yes. But obviously VCs bring a load of value in terms of other people and access to other things. So like you say, it's horses for courses. You can choose what you want to do. I think we're going to get quite a long way under our own steam. But if a really golden opportunity presents itself to grow quickly, then yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Well,
I
yeah,
don't like.
I
I
think that.
don't have another boss, really. I like being my own.
Yeah, of course. That's one of the joys of being a founder, right?
Yeah,
And it's interesting. I do think some founders want to just skip to that step of like you said, it should be gasoline that you're pouring on a fire that's already lit. And some founders maybe like skip to just getting into gas and realize they don't have any sparks or fire
yeah.
to
And I think
pour it
that's
on.
way too stressful. And you
Yeah.
you actually get hammered on your valuation if you've got no proof of revenues or retention or whatever. I think you can take in a load of money and probably get paid quite well for a few years, and then you just get diluted out of the equation.
Hmm.
So, and I was really enjoying myself. Richard is
Hmm.
too, and it's a great journey with great people, and so we'll just keep doing that.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because I think around the time you had started WeThrive, the case was more, the big flex for a company was how large you are, the size, your head count. And these days with AI, I feel like the real flex is like, look at all we're doing with our headcount of 10. Like you said, everyone's
Yeah,
amazed at what you're
yeah.
able to accomplish. I assume, that that Kick Technology is kind of drinking their own champagne and using a lot of AI to
Making our own
develop,
champagne. Yeah,
right?
we're waiting for the champagne. We're having our own, drinking our own tea at the moment. Uh, yeah, we try to use smart tools. We try, where possible. And as soon as Roll kicks live, we'll be running on that for sure. And we've got a Salesforce partner org, so SizzleKick will be plugged into that as soon as we've got a decent set of lead flow. So yeah, we'll use our own stuff. I think is it eating your own dog food is the
Yeah.
original adage for that. Uh, yeah, but yeah, I completely stand in front of both these products, and I can tell you they are top notch, and they absolutely deliver what they need to. And they are, for a small company of 10, blows my mind what we've managed to create. Um, so yeah, very excited about the future.
Well, and so on that note, how do you see Keck Technology in the next 5 years with all the growth that's coming with AI? I mean, I just love how y'all have reinvented yourself in a very very short time, even though you're a company that's been around a while. I think that's very cool. But so where do you see things going now as AI adoption continues?
Wow. I mean, gosh, there are much cleverer people than me talking about this on Diary of a CEO and whatnot. But I think, honestly, I think we've had this sort of honeymoon period of it coming out, and everyone will be going, holy moly, what is this stuff? What can it could do all these things and change the world. And then the reality of it hitting business challenges and the inertia of organizations and data things and people being scared, not wanting it in because they think it's going to do them out of a job. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of friction against it. And every now and again it does really dumb things. And then you see all this grok stuff with dodgy pictures and stuff. So I think it's got maybe a bit of a image problem and a rebrand that it needs to do. And yeah, I can't remember any of the stats, but there are loads of stats around. I can't remember what it was. Like, I think like 6% or 15% of AI projects actually deliver value.
Mm.
I don't know the statistic. You might be able to find it, but it's something bonkers. Like at least half of them tank and don't deliver any value. So I think until that switches around to they do deliver value, I think we're going to be sort of stuck in this little sort of eddy. I genuinely think SizzleKick has got the right pedigree to deliver the value.
Mhm.
And hopefully we can be one of those ones where everyone goes, yeah, that's a golden example of how to use AI in a smart way to fix a tricky problem. In terms of 3 to 5 years, I don't know, maybe we'll be overrun by Optimus robots and, I don't know, we'll all
Let's
be,
hope not.
but I don't really know. I really don't know. If
Any major lessons learned since building out this new AI first platform?
yeah, I think you got to be you got to be sensitive to people. Like there is a lot of stuff in the press. I don't know if it's sort of spin or whatever about people getting sort of replaced by robots. I think there's a lot of people who haven't got a clue about any of that stuff and oblivious. And there are other people who are sort of thinking, crikey, yeah, that really could happen. And I think we're starting to see some of those things happen in terms of the volume of jobs for grads from universities sort of drying up and people removing customer service jobs and replacing those with AI things. So I think it's got to be used responsibly rather. And I think we've got to take people along the journey and actually try and help them be happier and more effective at work. And I think that's a prize worth fighting for. So I think, just being quite sensitive to people and then being clear about what the problem is you're trying to fix and keeping fairly focused from a solutions perspective on that quite niche or niche, as you guys say over there. And making sure that you nail that down and deliver it, I think is the other thing. And don't expect it to magically sort it all out for you, because it's just not the case. It's just not the case. You've got to do quite a lot of work. It's like a block of marble, and you've got to chisel it and refine it and polish it and make it look beautiful and do what you want. It doesn't just do it out of the box.
Hmm. Well, that feels like a good place to leave it. I really appreciate you coming on today, Andy. I'm really looking forward to seeing where you and the team go with Kick technology and Sizzle Kick, and we'll be on the lookout for the launch of Roll Kick in the near future as well.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. And yeah, if you want to have a follow-up chat sometime, just say the word. I'm more than happy to hop on. I'll let you know how it's
That'd be
going.
great. That'd be great. Thanks. Cheers.
Thanks, Scott.